Hey, TwoCowsGaming fans, this is John Cow, and I just wanted to try something a little bit different with the podcast today. Um, but I do need to let you know uh, that there is a content warning here. The following video deals with subject matter including counseling, medication, therapy, and suicide that can be triggering or upsetting to some viewers. So I would say use your best discretion before you start watching this video. Thank you. All right, everybody, I'm back. I am back in business. Sorry for the extended absence, but we had a plague going through our house. First, Dom Cow had it, then Mom Cow had it, and then I caught it. I've been busy as all get out with work, and then on top of that, I've had some technology issues. My soundboard that I normally use for mixing audio died on me last week. So I have not been able to get back to recording the podcast. So for that, I'm sorry. This is actually my second attempt. When I got the original done and I started editing it, I noticed that the audio was terrible. And then through some testing and some additional work, I found out that my soundboard was dead. But now I've got a new soundboard. I'm ready to go. And we're going to jump into the podcast here in a couple minutes, but I do have some housekeeping to handle. First of all, check out the links in the description down below for this video, or also in the podcast description when you're listening. I will have links to my YouTube channel, my Twitch channel, my merch channel, or merch store, I guess is a good way to put it. And also, there was one other. Oh, my website. So go there, follow me on all of those. Get yourself a shirt, get yourself a T-shirt, coffee mug, whatever. Every little bit helps, but all of that money that you spend at my merch store gets dumped right back into the podcast. Um, you know, to buy new equipment, pay for new games, and provide additional content. So thank you all for your support. I appreciate it. But with that, it is time to jump into today's podcast. Now, I already had a disclaimer at the beginning of the podcast, and as I said, we are going to be talking about disturbing content, namely suicide ideation, counseling, medication, and treatment. So, if those subjects bother you, maybe turn this podcast off and go somewhere else. We don't want to upset anyone, but this is something that is important to me because I have mental health struggles. Most of my close friends know this. My family knows this. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how I got to where I'm at. But I'm also going to tie in some fun stuff. You know, I'm going to talk about playing video games and how that helps me and maybe some small coping strategies. Now, I don't claim to be a counselor. I don't claim to be any kind of doctor. I'm just someone who has been living with anxiety and depression, and these are some things that worked for me. And then I'll also be sharing places where you can find more information to help you out if you need help. With that, I'm going to start with a little story. Kind of like the lore of John Cow, as it were. Now, everybody plays video games in some capacity to have fun and enjoy themselves, but a lot of people don't think about why other people play video games. Now, my whole life I've played video games from when I was about 12 all the way through to now at 51. And video games are a very important part of my life. Without video games, I don't think I would be the creative person that I am. I wouldn't have my Twitch stream. I wouldn't be a filmmaker. I wouldn't be a story writer. I wouldn't be as effective as a father as I am, I don't believe. But, there are other reasons why I play video games. Namely, because I have lived with anxiety and depression for so long, video games give me a place where I don't have to think, at least not about the real world. I can think about how I'm going to beat my game, how I'm going to maybe just zone out and play some John Madden football. I can go and visit faraway worlds or faraway galaxies and just escape from my mind for a while. I can just turn off my overactive, anxious brain or my depressed state for a little while and just escape. And that is kind of another reason why I play video games. Part of what feeds into my depression is the feeling that I am a chronic underachiever, that I have not met expectations of certain family members in my past, and I have not stepped up to be the man that people expect me to be. And in video games, I'm not the best, but I'm not the worst either. I'm kind of I can learn a video game pretty quickly and I can enjoy it, and eventually I can master it. And that really helps me build self-esteem, especially when I need it. I can have a absolutely horrible day at work, but within half an hour of playing John Madden football or one of my other favorite games, I don't have to be John the disappointment anymore. I don't have to be John the letdown. I don't have to be John the responsible adult who just can't get it together. I can just be who I am, which is John the gamer, and John the filmmaker, and John the creative. And it's not easy. It's not easy carrying that around on my back. It was always an opportunity where I could take shelter from some of the things that weren't going so good in my world. For example, bullying. I had bullies growing up. I'm not going to name names, obviously. They know who they are and they know what they did. But the bottom line is when I got home to my Trash 80 computer, or I got home to my Nintendo Entertainment System or my Sega Genesis, they couldn't hurt me anymore. They couldn't bother me. They couldn't tease me. They couldn't make fun of me. They couldn't, shove me into lockers. They couldn't trip me. They couldn't try and knock me down steps. They couldn't knock books out of my hands. They couldn't deface my artwork. They couldn't get to me. I could just play my games, zone out, and feel like myself again instead of some kind of berated or dehumanized piece of meat. And I guess that kind of just stuck with me. Now I'm not going to take away from video games. Video games are incredible works of art, and I have a massive respect for people who are getting into game development because they are underappreciated, underpaid, and overworked. And the stuff that people put out is, even the bad stuff, you have to kind of step back and say, okay, I know what they're trying to do. Maybe they didn't pull it off, but at least I can respect that they did it. And, it makes me feel like a part of a larger community and I'm not alone. Up through COVID, even before COVID, I would be able to play games with my friends when I was unemployed. I would look for work for several hours a day, and again, that would be depressing because I was not getting work. I was not getting jobs that I felt I was qualified for. I would interview very well, and people would, compliment me on my body of work, but none of them would come across with an offer sheet. And it was very discouraging. And so playing online with my friends, it allowed me to escape. It allowed me to vent. It allowed me to deal with the disappointment of not getting ahead. And, to me, playing games online with my friends, for example, Anthem, I know a lot of people hated that game, but that game, I loved it because me and three of my friends, we would always get together on Tuesdays and Thursdays and we'd play for 2-3 hours, and we could shoot the shit and talk about our families, talk about our kids, talk about what's going on in our lives, give each other encouragement, build each other up. when each one of us was going through some issues. And in COVID, I can't even stress how much or how important online gaming became to me. I even started playing Dungeons and Dragons online with some friends because I needed that social element to keep me going. So video games and digital media really helped me get through a time in America when not everybody was able to get through it. And, I think about those things. Now, to kind of get back to the mental health angle, in 2019, I accepted a job with an insurance company, and the first 9 months I was there, things were going okay, but eventually the hours and the people and the types of things that I had to deal with on a daily basis became too much. And I did get a promotion. I worked my butt off when I was there, and again, through the process of COVID, I had not one, not two, but three separate mental health collapses. The first one was not good. I was thinking seriously about, hurting myself or doing something that I couldn't take back. Now, I didn't have a plan, but I was reviewing my notes, so to speak. Now, fortunately, the company that I worked for had a benefit that I could reach out and tell them that I was struggling, and they referred me to a an IOP, which is individual outpatient program, where I would log on, because this was again during the heart of COVID, and I would meet with 12 other individuals, a social worker, a psychologist, a psychiatrist, and then 9 other survivors. And we would do talk therapy, and we would do training to help us get through. And I did that for, 12 weeks. I was in the program for 7, and then I took another 5 weeks off to continue to recuperate and try and find a new routine for myself. And I went back to work, and I was on light duty for about 2 weeks before I went back to full load. And at that point in time, for the job that I was doing, it was normal for people to go out and work in garages and write estimates and take photos and things like that. But because of COVID, we weren't doing that. So I had to try and learn a new job, which I was learning as it was, in a completely new way. So I was getting just to the point where I was getting comfortable doing the job. COVID hit. I was put on work from home along with everybody else in the company. And so I had to get trained in again on another system on how to write estimates and do that. And it didn't take long. It took about a month and a half before I had another mental breakdown. Only this one was serious. I had serious physical reactions. I had pain constantly. I was sick to my stomach every single day. Migraines, tension headaches. I couldn't get out of bed in the morning. I would roll out of bed 5 minutes before I was supposed to be to work. And then I'd work 12 or 13 hours a day. And then I'd go to bed and do it again. 5, sometimes 6 days a week. And it just wasn't good. And I had another mental collapse. And in this mental collapse, because I was so sick and I was so miserable, I actually started coming up with a plan. It involved pills, it involved alcohol, and it involved cold weather. That's all I'm going to say. But fortunately for me, on my darkest day, when I was about 10 minutes from making my first attempt, my wife came home from work early because she could tell, Mom Cow could tell with the sound of my voice when I talked to her on the phone that there was something really very seriously wrong. And she took me to the hospital where I was able to be observed for, I think it was 5.5 hours. We came up with a safety plan. Now, for those of you that don't know what a safety plan is, you make a list of people you can contact when you need help. You write down the National Suicide Hotline, which back then was, it was only a couple years ago, but the point is that it was actually a 9-digit number or a 10-digit number instead of a 3-digit number. And you also had to write down the emergency room number so you could get help if you were in need. And then they referred me to a waiting list to get into a PHP, which is a partial hospitalization program. And what a partial hospitalization program is you get up in the morning, you go to whatever your hospital is, wherever that may be, or your day center, and you check yourself in, and you are there for the day, 7 to 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. And that program was amazing. It helped me learn how to cope. It helped me learn how to get through my dark days. It taught me a lot of strategies on how to survive. I also made a couple of contacts who we really cared about each other, and we keep in touch. Same with the IOP. I made some contacts, and I try to keep in touch with them as well. But, it's just a safety thing. And I was in that program for 8 weeks. I came out, and I was ready to go back to work. And it took about a month and a half, and then I had another mental collapse. This one was not as severe. I just had mental exhaustion at that point. I had gone through 2 hospitalizations in the course of 1 year. I had gone through 3 mental health collapses, or I was going through a third at that point in time, and I just took a medical leave of absence for 12 weeks. And I didn't go to the hospital this time. I didn't go to a program. I just went back to counseling, focused on getting my medications dialed in, and tried to work on my behavioral skills. And I tried eating better. I tried taking care of myself. And I recovered again. And this time, when I went back, I requested to be moved to my old position because I felt I could do that position again. And so in January, or was it February? I don't remember. It was January or February I went back to work. I think it was February in my old position. And by April of that same year, I left that position. It was a very toxic environment. I don't want to get into it. I don't want to get into the background because that will only serve to upset me. But over the course of the next several months, and in that time, my father had passed away as well. So things were not going well for me. And so I left. I left that job and never looked back. And, I was kind of the designated manager of my father's estate after he passed. My brother and sister, there was only 3 of us, and we had to deal with that, and it took me some time to recover from that. And so I was grateful that I didn't have a job because I could just focus on me. I could focus on getting mentally healthy again and put my house in order, as it were. So video games were a constant in my life through that time, along with Mom Cow and Dom Cow and my pets. I now have a dog and 3 cats, and they all kind of were there to help save me from myself. So that's kind of why I will never give up video games. Video games are my life. I love everything about them. I love playing them. I love writing reviews about them. I love writing blogs about them. And they give me a very real chance to get out of my own head, get out of my own way, and remember who I am. Now, to those of you who are currently struggling with mental health. Some of the resources that you can look into is the suicide hotline, which is on the screen right now, 988. I encourage you, if you are in crises, please call them. They will help you. They will put you in touch with your local health providers. They will put you in touch with emergency services if you need emergency services, and they will save your life. I did not get that far. My wife was there to save my life, and for that I am grateful. You are able to go to your county health and human services. Most places have a health and human services board that you can reach out to, and they have resources for people who are struggling with mental health issues. Now, obviously, it depends on what state you're in. I know Wisconsin, where I live, does a okay job helping people that need help, but you have to ask. They can't just magically say, "Oh, Dave Smith is in trouble. We need to send somebody to his house to check on him." No, you need to reach out. You need to call them, and you need to say, "I need help." If you are struggling with finding employment, and you are somebody who struggles with mental health issues, in Wisconsin especially, you can use the Department of Vocational Rehab. Now, most states, I believe, have a Department of Vocational Rehab. It's run by the state. They have funds set aside to help people who are struggling with mental health, mental health issues, physical limitations, cognitive limitations, disabilities of all sorts, and they are there to help you find work that you can do, work that is going to help you rebuild that confidence in yourself, rebuild that independence, and it's one of those things that helps you get by. If you are in immediate need of help, you can go to the emergency room. They will put you in observation. They will make sure that you're okay. They will have you talk to a counselor. They will talk to a doctor. They will do everything they can to try and keep you alive. And in my case, they referred me to a program that saved my life. Obviously, there are plenty of counselors available if you have insurance, or even if you don't have insurance. You can reach out and get help from a counselor. Now, obviously, if you're in immediate crises, that might not be a realistic avenue for you. But if you are just struggling and you need somebody to talk to, there are plenty of counseling firms available, and you can reach out and get an appointment and talk to a counselor. You don't need permission. You just need to schedule it. And most insurance companies, most insurance coverage will pay a portion of that. And then I would say, don't rule out support groups. You can look at the different listings on the websites of your medical provider. You can look in Craigslist. You can reach out to most homeless shelters. They will have counseling or support groups for people that need help. So you have options there as well. The whole point is to try and keep you alive. And then don't rule out your natural supports. For me, I have my wife, I have my son, and I have several friends who live within, just a few minutes of my house. And I have all their phone numbers, and they all know a little bit about my history, or they know enough that if I call them and I say I need help, they will be there for me. And so, sometimes it's all it takes is just to have a friend to lean on, go out, grab a lunch, or go out for coffee or tea or water even, just to get out of your own head, get out of your own way. Don't underestimate the lifeline that a friend can be. Now, you may not have friends who are close to you who can do that, but you have a phone. Most times you have access to a phone or email or Skype. Reach out to those friends and say, "Hey, I'm really in trouble. I need help. I need you to help me. Please help me." Because people can't help you if they don't know what's wrong. And I learned that a lot of the time, the way that I do things isn't going to save my life. And I can't do it alone. Now there are going to be days where you just can't. You're just not able to talk. You're not able to move. You're not able to get out of bed. That's okay. You know, maybe just try one thing. Try taking a shower. Try brushing your teeth. Something simple. Get a glass of water. If you can do one thing, you can do another thing. And you just do it stubbornly, one thing at a time, like me. I get out of bed, and it's like, all right, today's going to be shitty. I am just going to focus on brushing my teeth. And if I can brush my teeth, okay, that's the first step. And then I'll brush my hair. I'll put on deodorant. Little things. Sometimes little things have to be enough. And you have to just accept that, unfortunately. But that's okay. If you get up and you can't face the day, you can't do it, call in sick. Just take a day and be kind to yourself. Curl up on the couch with some potato chips, watch a movie. My go-tos are the Marvel movies or Godzilla when I'm feeling really low. Conan the Barbarian is another favorite of mine. Just mindless entertainment, so that way you don't have to think. You don't have to think about what you're struggling with. Get some distance, distract yourself, and just accept the fact that today is a movie day. There's nothing I can do about it. People need to remember that mental health is a part of your identity, but it's not your whole identity. There are things and resources that you have at your fingertips that can really help you. Over the last month, one thing that I've started doing is I have a camera that I bought 2 or 3 years ago now, and I don't use it that much. And so what I've done is when I'm having a day where I would be in crisis mode or I'm struggling, I will sit down and I will record a video journal. Just a couple minutes. Doesn't have to be long. And I try to articulate what I'm going through, what I'm feeling physically, what kind of mental anguish I'm confronted by. And I ask myself questions like, why can't I do this? Why am I not able to do that? And you don't need a fancy camera to do that. You can use your phone. Most phones have great cameras on them. You can just record your little short journal on there just to get the badness out of you. And you don't have to share it with anybody. You don't even have to go back and look at it. I don't even know if I'm going to go look at the stuff that I've recorded. It's one of those things that I do to help keep me alive. And I look at it this way. I've survived 100% of my worst days. You can do it too. You can do it too. Just keep it simple. And don't push yourself. Be gentle with yourself. Don't be hard on yourself. Give yourself a break. We are living in very upsetting times. I'm not going to wade into the politics. I'm not going to wade into the economy. Not going to wade into any of that stuff. We are living in difficult times. At least as Americans, we can all agree on that. It really does try our mental health and our ability to get through the day. So I would recommend give yourself a break. Allow yourself some levity. Treat yourself. Hey, I want a Milky Way dark. Go get one. If you've got $1, go get one. I want a sundae from whatever fast food restaurant you like to go get ice cream from. Go do it. Treat yourself. Be kind to yourself. Be gentle with yourself. Because there are days that if you aren't, you could implode. And that's not something you want to do. I think that's pretty much all I've got for that. I am going to be working on the podcast throughout the week. I will have episode 5 up next weekend. And then also, I keep saying this, but I am going to get back to streaming now that I have a new soundboard, and I've been kind of thinking about what games I want to stream. So pay attention to my Facebook page. Pay attention to my Twitter. You can find me, TwoCowsGaming. I'm not hard to find. And, I'll have announcements posted there when I'm going to be streaming. And let's get through this. Let's do what we can to get through this. So with that, as I always say, be safe, be kind, and remember, no matter who you are, no matter where you are, you do matter and you are loved. Thanks, everybody.